Okay, so it is the next morning and I am not suffering any pain. There's the faintest whisper of something going on in my intestines, and it did take 2 days to kick in last time. But I don't feel ugly sort of in my digestive system like I did last time either, so maybe this time I'll get away with it. I think I have a threshold. I don't think I have silent celiac because I had too many flare-ups. But I only had 3 major flare-ups since 2017 when I started losing weight. In 2017, I went to the mental ward for suicidal ideation, and I started losing weight there. I didn't even realize I was working at my old job in the office, and I stood up and I saw my reflection of my hips in the monitor one day, and I was like, wait a minute, my hips are smaller. And I mean, you would think you would notice that your pants are a little looser. I didn't. I noticed when my hips were a little bit more narrow, and then but put it down to depression. And I had my blood taken around that time, and there was a little blip. I forget what it was on. It was on maybe bilirubin, but like the tiniest little blip. It was like 1 decimal point over normal. So my doctor said, no, it's fine. We're gonna, it has to be a lot higher, and everything else is fine. So there was already stuff going on with my liver, but we didn't catch it. And who would? If it's just like the tiniest little thing, who's gonna think? Especially when someone keeps having flare-ups and stuff, So I'm not mad at her for that. I didn't push on it either. And then I was okay. And then the pandemic hit. And that was a major flare-up. And then I had, no wait, was it 2? Well, pandemic hit, flare-up. When I got this job that I have now, I was in my biggest flare-up. In fact, I'm surprised I even got this job, because at one point the boss was trying to get in touch with me for an interview, and I wasn't available. I was sick. And you don't do that. Like, I'm grateful that she hired me after that, because it looks like I'm flaky, but I'm actually a very good worker, and I believe I do a good job, and I get good reviews and stuff, but just from that first impression, I'm very grateful that she hired me. Yeah, and then, this last time going to the doctor in October is when we found out. So I don't get symptoms every time because I used to eat, bread is my favorite food. Like I've said a million times, I eat for texture, and gluten is the best texture. So I'll take a baguette and I'll just eat it without butter. Just eat the baguette. I love bread. I've always loved bread. When I was a little kid, I'd reach into the pack of bread and I'd just take out slices and eat them. Sometimes I'd crush them into a little ball, because that when it gets all gluten-y, and I like that. So it's not always going to be extreme, but that doesn't mean, of course, that I don't need to keep gluten-free. Of course I do. Even though I don't feel the damage, I know it's happening. My small intestine was bald when I had my endoscopy. It's probably still pretty close to bald. It takes a long time to heal. It's only been a few months. It's April, and I got my endoscopy in November. So it's possible there's some significant healing, but being gluten twice in just like a month. But then again, I don't think one time being gluten is gonna make me go bald. I think it's something that happens over time, I think. So fingers crossed again. I think I'm gonna be okay this time, even though it was compared to the amount of gluten I had last time when I was in so much pain, like, it was crumbs. And this was actual 4 tenders. I had 4 wheat-covered tenders. And they were, like, kind of, like, almost batter consistency, which is my favorite kind. I don't like the crumbs. I like the batter on fish. And so I was just like, oh, these are so good. I found my gluten-free nuggets, or tenders. Only to realize, wait a minute, these are far too good. I had to throw them away. I didn't want to. I wanted to keep them. I want to eat them right now. But it's not smart. If I get away with this last glutening, I will try to be smarter in the future and pay more attention. I mean, I do pay attention, and sometimes you'll order something and you'll put in gluten-free whatever. Let's say gluten-free pizza. Just whatever comes to my head, and you order it because you put in gluten-free pizza and it came up like the second spot, but it's not guaranteed. You do have to still look at ingredients and stuff, although those chicken tenders were from before. They were in the bottom back of the freezer. They were not freezer burned, which is surprising. Things get freezer burned really easily in our freezer. So they were fresh and they were delicious, and I want them. They were the best chicken tenders I've ever had. And I've had a lot of chicken tenders. And it's only because I haven't had good ones for months. There's a restaurant here called F Gluten that they have chicken and fries. And when I have a craving, although we're really backing off on the DoorDash. It costs a lot of money. I'm trying to only do it on payday for lunch. Like, I can choose F Gluten, I can choose Waba Grill, or I can choose Five Guys. Because Five Guys, they only fry their fries in the oil. Nothing else. Sorry about this real quick. And they'll do the lettuce wrapped hamburger just like In-N-Out will. In-N-Out is great, but In-N-Out will not deliver via DoorDash. In-N-Out and Trader Joe's are the holdouts with DoorDash and Instacart. And that's okay. They're not far from each other here in where I live. In fact, we've got our refrigerator and freezer full of Trader Joe's food now. I'm going to probably have some Indian food. So yeah. A whole lot of words to say that so far the glutening is okay. I feel okay. I think there's a threshold, and I think it depends on a lot of factors, whether or not I'm going to feel it. I don't know what happened last time. I don't know why it got me so bad, and this time where I've consumed far more gluten, it seems okay, but we'll see tomorrow, because it hit 2 days later last time, so we'll see. I'm obsessed with this because I feel like it's the sword of Damocles. It's like, I can see it there, and it wants to fall on me. Anyway, I finished Misery last night. I got up like at 11, went to bed like at 1:30, and finished the book. I forgot that she cut off his thumb, too. I don't think they did that in the movie. Spoiler for a 40-year-old book or 35-year-old book, but his books always tend to be a little bit more gruesome than the movies anyway. And in fact, she didn't use a sledgehammer in the book. She actually chopped off his foot, which I did remember. I don't do well with books about chopping off body parts. There was the second Dexter book was all about that, like what happened to Dokes. Like, they basically cut off everything, and it was just a head and a torso, and I did not like that. I stopped reading the Dexter books because I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy cannibalism. It's sort of like torture. I don't want to. I see I've got less than 30 seconds left because I've just babbled incessantly for 10 minutes, so thank you for watching. Fingers crossed there is no glutening to be had this time around, and I will talk to you soon.